Alright, AW55-51SN, doing an LS kit, filter, and a valve body. They didn't see fit to send me my clutches, so I had to hunt some up. And that's the whole point of an LS kit, is has clutches. Pay attention to the piston. So they say a crack around here. I've only ever seen one that was. And that was a long time ago. Got O-rings on the outside. Got two check balls in here. Make sure that make sure they rattle. You got two O-rings that are real close to each other. And we need to make sure we get the right one and the right piston. One's just ever so slightly larger than the other one. And it looks like we got the right one this time. There's another check ball in here, make sure it's rattling around. There's two pistons that are close to each other. You want the one that has no gaps in it and these little holes. Our return spring, our snap ring, we're going to put with the short end of the taper up. Alright, start off with the, actually we need to start in the center. We got a dish plate, the dish goes down. And then our steels and clutches alternate. Pressure plate, snap ring, it's flat. You want the opening over in here. Regular steel, alternate all the way up. We have a cutout, we need to keep those together. Another flat snap ring. There. In the back here there's a brace. It usually stays in there. I just leave it in there. There is a sealing ring right here. It is super tiny and it's very easy to break this thing when you're putting it back on. It's a butt cut, so it doesn't matter. When you pop it on there, it's on there. Keep your old sealing rings in case you break one or one in the kit's broken. It's not uncommon for sealing rings to be broken in these kits. I run into it fairly often. Not all the time, but enough that it's it's kind of concerning. Alright, it's the smallest one that you got in your kit. Like I said, it's very easy to break the back of it, so just very gently try to put it on there. Only open it up the bare minimum you have to get it on there. There we go. So we'll go on to this drum. This one has a check ball in it also. Make sure it's rattling. Alright, short end of the taper is going to be up towards us again, and we want the opening over in here away from that opening over there. Alright, starting off with the steel again, alternating up. Pressure plate, the zero goes up, the bevel is up, flat side is down, flat snap ring. Do our end cover next. Just got the wrong one. Let me get the right one. Short end of the taper up towards us again. Alright, there's another sealing ring down inside here. Wrong one. It's butt cut again, so you don't have to worry about which way it goes together. Here's a bearing goes inside here. You want the writing facing down. Got some more sealing rings over here. These are scarf cut, so they go together like so. You can put some grease in there to hold these in the groove if you want to. Got this race with the lip, it's going to face down. Got an O-ring here. Our spring. There's another sealing ring on here. It's scarf cut. And it goes together the same way. Goes inside there. Doesn't matter which way this one faces. You got two 30 Torx bolts that hold that in. Alright, we got a dish plate. The dish goes down. Large opening of our steels goes over here. Our snap ring, this tab sits right in this slot right here. Other end of our snap ring goes over here. Alright, let me go press my seal in. Alright, the dot on the outer gear faces up. Dot on the inner gear faces up. Our separator plate. Stator. Let's see here. .30 Torx, and this different looking one goes in the inside right here. The rest of these are like that. Alright, put our pump O-ring on. Now, got an inner and outer piston here. These O-rings get fairly close to each other, so we gotta be making sure we get the right one on the right one. Notice there's a dish side and a flatter side. This side's going to face up. This side's going to face up. I got this snap ring, short end of the taper is going to face up. Make sure we're all the way in the groove. Alright, this return springs, the opening's going to go in the opening, and the short end of the taper is going to face up again. Alright, usually you get new washers, but not always, so watch out. You got the washer with this step to it, that one's going to go here. The tabs go in those holes. Make sure that race is on there, sprag's in there. And we have these feet on this one. Just kind of pop into the holes. Got the other race that goes on here. With this washer. Gonna go on the back side of here. And that fits on here. There we go. And we're turning clockwise, locking counterclockwise. Have our return spring. Starting off with the flat steel. And I find this easier to just put in a foot press. These tabs fit on the springs there, and you can get this in without putting it in the foot press, but it's a lot easier to do it with the foot press. I'm going to put the opening over in here, not over in here. Alright, we got the opening of our steels, and go right here. Put our sprag assembly on here. Alright. Our servo. There's 2 O-rings on the cover. Keep your old O-rings in case you cut them when you put them in. It is easy to do. Now, some of these, like this one, has a snap ring that you can take loose to do this seal right here. There's a version that is staked together. You can get it in there with a lot of work. If it's not screwed up, I suggest the one that's staked in, you just leave that seal in there. Because it's a real super pain. Short end of the taper up towards us. You got to really lube it up, and you got to really work it in there. So I would just leave it alone. This you don't really need to take apart. I just took it apart to show you how it goes together. There's a spring here. Here's our top hat. There is a kind of a spring washer. The dish goes down, and you got a flat washer. Then you got another dished washer. The cone goes up, and another flat washer, and then the servo itself. And there's a little E-clip that holds this all together. O-ring that goes here, and then the spring goes on top. You've got a washer that goes on each side. Two tabs are close together, one's further apart, and you just kind of pop in there. And we got two sealing rings here, and this one here I would really suggest that you put some grease on these, because if they pop out at all, just a little bit, it's gonna grab it and push it up down inside there, and you're not gonna get this down. And they're scarf cut again. Make sure that when you was blowing this off, that one of them didn't go down in there and get stuck on that race down there. It can be kind of hard to see it. Alright. I think it's about time to change batteries, and we're going to change camera angles and put this in the case. Alright, go ahead and knock your axle seals out. Leave them out. Alright, we got this opening here. Just going to sit right here. Our return spring. Our thin flat snap ring. Alright, make sure you're all the way up in that groove. Actually, this is not going to work. I didn't think about the fact that, well, we can get to the point to the drum and then putting the end cover on. Because the drum has to stick through the table, and the only place I have a hole is over here. So, we'll see what we can do. Alright, you have this race, this bearing with this lip. It's going to go up in the back side. This is going to go down. Make sure we're turning clockwise, locking, turning counterclockwise, locking clockwise. Opening of our steel is going to go over here. Got stuck, got it upside down. Alright, got a flat snap ring. It's wider and stiffer of the two. Got this bearing, our planetary. This race with the lips going to sit on top. This bearing with the lips going to go in the back. This 4-tab race is going to sit on top. This bearing is going to go in the back. This bearing is going to sit right here. And now I got to put this over there. We're going to go ahead and put our band in. The apply side over here, the anchor on this pin right here. It's actually easier sometimes to put it in from the other side. Come on, baby. Get down in there. I may have to put it in from the other side. Trying to do stuff where the camera can see is not very easy sometimes. There we go. Alright, that's just going to hang there like that. And put, we got 5 seals that go in here. These are the flat rubber ones, and be careful that these little O-rings like to get stuck inside there. Alright, all I'm going to do is move this over here, drop the drum in, put my end cover on. I'm going to put a bead of silicone here. Use a good high quality silicone. That pink stuff that comes from the factory is awesome. It's also awesomely expensive. You want to spend that kind of money to put that on there is fine, but this stuff works just fine. You don't need to put a whole gob of it on there because all it's going to do is squeeze it out anyway. Just a nice thin even film is all you need. Come on. Drop down. I guess it did. Okay. Make sure that race is in the back. And this bearing goes in there. Make sure that race is on there. This bracket, let's put the stud, goes up here. Alright, you got several of these that are longer. The 3 with the green on it. Go back here on this end cover. Actually, I guess there's 4 on this one. Wrong one. Yep, wrong one. Alright, 12 millimeters. Bracket and the nut. Alright, we got shim. That's not on all models, so don't be worried if yours didn't have it, but make sure it didn't have it. This bearing goes on the back side. This bearing, it doesn't matter which way it goes, it's plain. Make sure your washers are on here. This drum, and we're going to put our servo in and make sure our band travel is okay. We also want to make sure that the tip of this gets into the band apply there. Alright, short end of the taper out towards us again. I may have to go get some help. Sometimes it helps to have some help. Sometimes I can just do it with a big pair of channel locks. Let me get this set right. Alright, I think we're okay where we're at. It went pretty good. Alright, we're in the band. We're doing good. Let's go ahead and air check the band. Transfer gear. Come on. Start dropping. There we go. Alright, this is the real fun part. This pivot pin goes down with the tip down. This park actuator goes in this side. This spring has to be on that side of it. This has to be here. This has to be up inside of there. Alright, super fun part is this has to wrap around this, but the rod has to be up inside of here also. And this goes this way. This sits on top of it. Actually, it goes underneath. And this fits in that slot right there. Okay. Now, our spring, long end of the spring needs to go on that side. The short end needs to go over here. This needs to go inside of the park mechanism. $10mm that hold all that in. Filter goes in. Lineup pin goes there. 10mm holds it in down here. Our shield actually goes this way. Two 10s hold that in.
trust me. So they just probably put the most minimal fucking into it and let it go.
They didn't do what I do to it.
Okay, let me see what I do.
So our feed pipe goes in, there's an O-ring on each side. Actually, going backwards. Here's a hold down bracket for it. Two 10mm bolts hold that in. Alright, now this is the way I do it. You can do it however you want to. This is the way I found for me that I have the least problems with it dropping a clutch, and when you tighten it down it binds up. So this is the way I do it. I put my differential in, then I turn the transmission on its end here, and this is kind of hard to do, but it's easier than trying not to drop a clutch. Actually, let me try this. Try this over here. You want this sitting almost straight, because when you try to put this in there, the sprag assembly is going to try to come off. So we got the two holes here. They go right here. Alright, bolts with the B on them are the pump bolts. Leave the pump loose. You just want it up against there so it can't drop in any clutches. But you still want it to be able to move, because the case is going to line it all up. Grease up your O-ring. Got the race and the bearing goes on there. We got this rubber seal that goes over here, and we're going to put silicone on here. We need to talk about the other case half first. got another sealing ring in here, and that one broke. This one's got a gap in it, so don't worry about that. The shield that goes on here has magnets on the back. You want to clean those up. Here's a bracket that holds this tube down on this one. These are all 10 millimeters. Differential race goes in here. This bearing goes with the numbers down, smooth side up. Go ahead and lube up in here. Forgot my plate. The ones that doesn't have a cooler out here need this plate on here. It blocks this off. Alright, thin bead of silicone again. I'll need to get radical with it. Alright, you got 2 studs. Go down here. Alright, you have 3 different length of bolts. You see the long shoulder, short shoulder, basically no shoulder. The long shoulder goes right here. The 2 short shoulders go here. And the rest of the bolts go everywhere else. Alright, 12 millimeters. Tighten our pump up now. Alright, turn it nice and free. This bracket goes on the 2 studs over here. 10 millimeter holding that in. This is not on all units, so I think it's only on Volvos if I remember right. Alright, you got several different axle seals. Make sure you get the right one for what you got. Grease this up nice and good. You'll see that the seal doesn't have much of a lip holding the I hope the GoPro was recording because the verb damper wasn't. There's not hardly a lip holding the spring on, so I'm using Transgel Gold. You want something that's going to melt rather quickly. Well, it doesn't really matter so much on the axle seals as it does the front seal, but you can do this for any seal that doesn't have much of a lip holding that spring on, because it's easy to roll them off, and if you start tapping on them, it'll pop that spring right off of there. So go ahead and lube up the outside, lube up the inside, put you some around the spring. You're gonna want to tap slowly, straight as you can. You want to tap slowly until you get up to the lip up to here, because it's going to try to roll it. Right when it starts touching it, grab your lip seal tool. You may need to do that a couple times. And we're going to tap that down if I can keep from hitting the camera. Alright, just going to do the same thing for the other side. Let me get the valve body and then we'll be back. I did forget there's O-ring that goes on each side in this groove, and you need to put some moly grease up in there, and you need to put moly grease on your axle also. There, I'm going to flip this over. I got this spring here, 688, 469, 44. This plug goes on top. $664. $275. 19. Got a $218 thousandths check valve goes right there. We got these little check valves. They give you new ones in the kit. The blue side is going to go down. The spring pucky side is going to go up. We got one there. One there. The little tip has got to go in the channel. A little tip right there. Now, not all these plates have bonded gaskets on it. This one happens to have bonded gaskets, so we don't have to match them up. It's actually the other plate that you really need to worry about a lot more. Alright, this plate's going to sit on top. Okay, we got this spring. Not all models have that spring. This is the spring that you need to check for to see if it's in there. If your valve body had it in there, make sure the ones you're putting back on there has it. If it didn't, take it out, and it had one, take it out. Alright. Remember which direction this goes. And we got 3 bolts here. 8 millimeters. The long one's are going to go up here. And the 2 shorter ones go over here. Actually, the shortest one goes down here. Yeah, they're the same. Just springs keeping it up off of there. Here we go. Alright. Alright, our spring. 423. 207. 16. This sit on top. We got two check valves. One's going to go there. One's going to go here. And you want to match your gaskets up anytime that you are replacing them, and make sure that all your holes match up. Make sure that I had this right. Alright, this one goes on this side. This one goes here, and this one goes here. Alright, we got our bolts here. We got the really long one goes here. And I believe the rest of these are all the same. Yep. Alright, flip this back over. Our keeper's still in there. Okay. We got two check valves on this side. One's going to go right here. One's going to go right here. And we got screens. We got this big one. Oh, not that one. We got a small one here. Open end goes up. Small one here. Small one here. This one is going to go right here. Alright, the large filter goes right here, open end up. Our separator plate's going to have to sit around it. The spring on here, 435, 371. 51. That sits on top. And then our spring, 439, 173, 11. That's right there. This goes on top. Our other one. $445, 176, 11. This one goes on top. got another check valve that goes right here. And this one you got to really match your gaskets on because there's two different ones. So put your gasket on top, try not to rip it. Make sure every single hole matches up. And the gaskets are different between which one goes on which side. The bigger holes so that it goes around the springs and the check valves. And then this gasket goes on this side. This sits on top. And this bolt goes in right here. We've got short ones that go in here. Got to remember which ones go where. Let's see. Let's make sure I got the right length one. That one was a little too short. Come out of there. Alright. The shortest ones go here. And here. And the rest of these are the same length. One goes here. One goes here. Here, here, and here. So let's get these started. Alright. Go ahead and tighten down all of our bolts before we go putting the solenoids in. Forgot this bolt right here. Goes right there. There's a code stamp for our valve body. Each of these solenoids have O-rings on them. That one's off a little bit. May have to loosen this back up. This is your S2. This is a domed one. That's Chevy. If it was flat, well, actually it looks more like that one. If it was flat like that, right there, that's for Nissan, Volvo. But GM, Saturn, and Saab are that shape. And I'm probably going to have to loosen this valve body back up, so I'm just going to go on to the rest of this, finish up this video, and I'll go back and do that because that bolt's not lined up. So we got this solenoids here. You got the 3 cutouts right there. That's where the bracket sits. On the B and C codes, the connectors are facing this way. On the A and no codes, the connectors are flipped. This bracket is different, and it takes a different wiring harness. So there's a 10mm that holds that in. There's this solenoid. This bracket goes on top here. And our bracket for our wiring harness. This tip's going to sit back here. There we go. And then our manual valve goes in right there. Alright, that's it for this valve body.